How's it going, guys? This is Real Murata photographer based in Tokyo. So Fujifilm, oh dear. So initially I wanted to make this video with high pride and joy that Fujifilm announced a new film stock for the public, for the Japanese people. But then again, when I looked at their website and also the retailer's website and looked at the price, I was like, oh my god, kinda, what the heck, kinda. So, for background information for you guys, if you live outside of Japan, you probably know that Fuji Superia X-Tra 400 exists, which would be, how should I say it, sort of like the budget option to the Superia 400 that you guys are, used to be like seeing on. And I guess it's sort of like a sibling, the extra 400 if I'm right. And the Superior, and ever since I guess the Pro 400H was discontinued, the majority of people shot with the Superia Premium 400 as their go-to film stock, which is, if I'm right, one ranks below the Pro 400H, and below that is where the extra 400 exists. And if I were to make a list of the ranks, it would probably look like something like this, if I'm right, from the Pro 400H at the top, which is discontinued, to the entry-level Fuji Color 100, which I typically shoot with, and a C200. And until recently, the Fuji Superia X-Tra 400 was not released in Japan until recently. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, Fujifilm has something to do. So, however, when they released the Fuji X-Tra Superia 400 here in Tokyo, some weird things happened, which is a surprise actually. And in Tokyo, as of 2022, the X-Tra 400, it costs roughly 1,650 yen, which equates to roughly $12 USD, US dollars, and that is the exact same price as the Superia Premium 400, which I did a video on, which, if I'm right, that film stock should be one rank higher than the extra 400, but the price is exactly the same. So I thought to myself, what's going on here? And the Fuji Color 100 right now in Japan costs roughly $10. So I thought it would be in the bit in between the Fuji Color 100 and the Premium 400, but it's exact same price as a Premium 400, so what gives? So as always, I actually went around shooting with this film stocks, as always, with my Nikon F3, and I basically, after work, I basically shot around Shinjuku, and I basically walked randomly until I realized I got to the Tokyo National Stadium, which I did a video on, and there were so many people and I didn't want to shoot around that area, but because the lighting was really good during this time, it was a full sunny day actually, I thought why not, and I basically walked around the stadium. A long time ago I did that twice actually, and this time around they opened up the second floor actually, and when I previously went, they only were opening around the first floor area actually, and the second floor was keep off, beware of dogs kind of. I couldn't get it onto the second floor, but this time around the second floor was actually open, so I basically went around, and it was sort of like a public garden-ish type of area actually, and I had a great time shooting. after shooting and scanning indoors after coming back, actually, what surprised me the most is the color, actually. And how should I say it? Like, I actually did not enjoy shooting with the Premium 400, the Superia Premium 400 film stock, because it was sort of like a really high contrast and it was hard to color correct. Actually, the greens and the magentas were really strong. However, this film stock in particular, it was actually a joy to sort of like shoot and edit, because the flat image that I got is basically this, and you guys might think, oh my goodness. But the great thing about this is that the magenta's really appearance. So all you have to do is like pull up the greens and cyans, and that basically like disappears. It kind of disappears, period. And from there on, you get a really neutral flat image, and you can basically add green or cyan or any kind of color if you want. You can even add orange to give that sort of like Kodak-ish warm tones. And this film stock in particular, because the film itself was like really neutral, you can basically shift the colors as you wish. And compared to the Premium 400, which I was struggling to color correct, this one in particular, it has less of a character, but it's like, because it's like shooting with a Nikon DSLRs. If you ever shot with a Nikon DSLRs, straight out of camera, it looks bland, but you can basically add color later, which is like great actually. While Canon cameras, digital, I'm not gonna BS them, but it's hard to edit because it's already oversaturated. Canon cameras, digital cameras are really famous for being oversaturated. So I'm going off topic, but this film stock in particular acted similar to like a Nikon's DSLR, so it was a great time like shooting with it. And compared to the Premium 400 and Fujicolor 100, which is like known to be really more high contrast, this film in particular is much more washed out in my opinion. And if you look at the images, I basically bumped up the mid-tones by 10, 20, I was about to say 10, 20 basis points, more like increments of like 10 to 20 roughly actually. And it already has a great like washed out look. Okay, so when I was like shooting around the stadium, it was like really warm, not warm, but it's cold actually. It was like really sunny out, so the like lighting was perfect actually, so I was getting really good results. On the second day, I basically had a little bit of time, so I went to my local coffee shop, the coffee shop being Kaido, which I made a video on. And that day it was like partly cloudy, and if you look at the images, it looks bland. And you guys know every single film stocks looks bland if the lighting sucks. If it's like rainy, partly cloudy, you won't get that much of a sort of like a punch type of like sort of like overall impact on your images, because there's not much light and there's not much of depth and field and stuff like that. So it acted as a typical film stock, but I highly suggest shooting in the sort of like a sunny time during the season. For this day, I personally like the hotel, I forgot the name of the hotel, but I just like that architecture of the square building. And along with that, because it was on the second floor, there were like these pillars coming out supporting the whole like building, the stadium actually. And I actually like this shot with the small sort of like bench type of like seating area. And because this film stock has enough dynamic range, I could still see the place where you can sit, and also the background is not blown out, which also surprised me. So in terms of dynamic range, this film stock has a really great dynamic range. Even if you overexpose, you can basically retrieve those backgrounds. And compared to other like film stocks that I've used in the past, I think this one might have the most dynamic range from shadow to the highlights actually. So it's a really flexible film stock from what I experienced. So yeah, it's been a great time actually shooting with this film stock. This actually really surprised me actually. Over the course, I'm not a fan of 35mm, and I rarely take out my Nikon F3 unless I'm trying new film stocks or doing some kind of reviews or something like that. And when I'm casually shooting, I'm shooting with Fujicolor 100, which is my go-to film stock. But this one is actually really good, in my opinion. It was like really easy to edit. And if this film stock was like 1,200 yen, so if it was like $11 or if it was $12, if it sat in between the Premium 400 and the Fujicolor 100, which they recently jacked up the price actually, it would have been a great sort of like offering from Fujifilm. But you guys, we know that the price of film is increasing so much. Kodak's Color Plus is going up in price too. It went up beyond $10 if I'm right when I last checked on B&H, along with Gold 200 actually for 35mm. And same as in Japan, actually, the film stocks for 35 is skyrocketing so much that it's sort of like giving me a headache. So yeah, it was actually a great experience, like shooting with this like film stock, the Fuji's like Superia X-Tra 400. And if I do have the opportunity of like shooting with it, I might switch this film stock for the Premium 400, which I used to shoot actually because that was basically the only option available. But because of Premium 400 and the Extra 400 is exactly the same price and the Extra 400 is way easier to edit, I might just choose this as the go-to if I'm shooting with ISO 400 film. Or 100, I'm still stuck with Fujicolor 100s. I need to test more actually, so yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, I'm like happy to reply. So we will see you next time. Peace out. For those looking for a quality film with superb color reproduction, we offer you the Superia brand. This product is available in an ISO speed of 400 sensitivity, providing everything from versatility and highly flexible film. And did I get it? I suck at it.